unless they leave something really juicy up that you'd want to first pick over it. But I think with Skarner and Olaf being kind of in that same tier and Olaf being a little bit stronger in that matchup, that Olaf would still have priority.
We'll see how they decide to prioritize that champion and however else they want to navigate this draft as we get into champion select for the second time today. Sion and Gangplank banned out by Clutch Gaming. They don't want to have to deal with Hauntzer on the Sion again, and Gangplank pretty strong still in his own right, as Azir and Rakan are banned out by TSM. Final ban for the first phase from Clutch is going to be the Tahm Kench, really respecting what Mithy can do on that.
I really like this, though, from both Clutch and TSM, because Swain is still on the table. I'm talking about something juicy you can leave up to potentially get the Skarner or the Olaf yourself. That would be the Swain. Otherwise, you ban the Swain here, and then you just trade 1-for-1 in those junglers, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah, if you do give over Olaf, but you pick a bunch of winning lanes, a bunch of pushing lanes, the same sort of situation is not so scary. Swain picked up here as expected. So powerful right now on the patch, and a flex pick to boot, so that's why a lot of people liking him early on in the draft phase.
I mean, the reason the Olaf felt so damn strong last game was just because of the fact that none of his lanes could ever help him. They were all permanently shoved, and now we'll have to see if that happens here again. MikeYeoung will be taking on that Olaf for the second game in a row, and he'll have Mithy backing him up on the Braum.
Yeah, Mithy, the ban away the Tahm Kench. He's going to play Braum. It's the Tom Braum mom for him in the bottom lane. Just going to babysit Zven all the time. But now they have the Olaf. The Skarner will be the answer here for LirA, but the Olaf still slightly favored in this matchup.
Right, Skarner, very good at dueling a lot of different champions. Unfortunately for him, Olaf is one of the ones that still outduels him even inside the Spire, but it will do better than a Sejuani would.
Yeah, not many people are good at dueling Olaf.
Yeah, it's not really. Those words just don't happen in a sentence.
Oh, but they're going to try their luck here, and Hakuho with the Morgana banned away, goes for the Thresh, the old school pick for this guy. When he first came onto the scene, he was one in that big pool of Thresh players, the Thresh gods who came in, and I want to see how he performs on this champion here. They say he doesn't miss skill shots on Morgana. It's kind of the same story with this Thresh.
I also really do like Thresh against things like this, right? Where he's going to have the Lantern to have some movement displacement for his team. When Olaf is trying to run you down and throws an axe through his target, he loses a lot of DPS if he doesn't pick that axe up. So if you move the person, he has to then decide, am I still going to chase this person, or am I going to pick up my axe? And it makes the Olaf player play a lot better if there's a Thresh in the game, because Thresh can also force him to use his ultimate to get through things like the box or flays or hooks and stuff like that. So definitely like putting a little bit more pressure on the player to perform.
You gotta love having that extra agency to control what your opponent's gonna be doing, especially when he went off like MikeYeoung did in game number 1. Clutch Gaming needs to have somebody answer it, and if Hakuho's Thresh is that answer, then so be it, they say, as they will also be up against Bjergsen's Ryze this time around, as the second phase of the bans has already begun. You can see Cassiopeia and Caitlyn targeted by TSM. They don't want to allow Apollo onto that signature AD carry again. Clutch Gaming banning away the Ezreal, saying same thing for Zven. We're not letting him on that most picked champion.
Yeah, bottom lane is going to be important, because as much as Thresh has these things that can force Olaf to play well, if the Olaf just focuses the Thresh and runs him down, Thresh cannot get away either. So it can't feel bad for the Thresh player, especially if there's a Braum in the lane and they're actually trying to kill him. Definitely some counterplay.
And right here, I think you would go for your AD carry, but you don't know where that Swain's going to go, so you want to save that top lane pick for last. And regardless, I don't think there's many AD carries left that have move blocks or ways to get away except Tristana. And so you're kind of locked into Varus, Jhin, Xayah as well. So no matter what, the Skarner will have an okay time reaching whatever AD carry this is. More on the rest of the team to peel for him as they go for the Varus.
You will see that again this game, just like we got to see in game number 1. TSM repeating a couple of picks. I mean, if it works out the first time, sometimes you don't need to switch it up. Can still fit very well into the next composition. Clutch has 2 picks left to go. They make them both here. What are they going to start it off with? We did see Kog'Maw banned out last time. No ban this time means Clutch pick it up.
That's a Wiz Fusion special from way back in the day. The Kog'Maw, he definitely feels comfy on it. And the Gnar again.
All right, taking the Gnar means that the Swain will go into mid lane against Bjergsen's Ryze. And TSM now get the final pick of the draft to take what they want into that Gnar from solo. And it looks like Hauntzer's thinking about the Ornn.
I was kind of expecting the tank pick here for Clutch, because when you have the Kog'Maw, having a very solid front line is fantastic. Something like a Cho'Gath would be really good, especially against Ryze too.
Yeah, also especially considering like the 0 jungle proximity that we kind of associate with solo on the top side. You know, it's probably not going to be a situation where they're trying to camp for solo and get him ahead on the Gnar to try and, you know, get some sort of pressure that way. So we'll have to see, you know, how he does, because Hauntzer on the tank, able to join the rest of the team. You know, he is Ornn. Ornn's ultimate for team fighting is just such an insane difference, especially against these low mobility carries here. Swain and Kog'Maw. Skarner hates being kited as well. It just seems like there's going to be a lot of large AoE slow paths that are going to make this difficult for those guys to play.
Yeah, and there was another level here as well, because they picked the Braum very early, so you don't want to take Ornn away for yourself, because the Braum will counter it. So they kind of got that at the very end of the draft because the way they had set it up.
And when you have Braum and Ornn, you can pretty much fill up the entire screen with giant, CC abilities.
Stuff everywhere. There's so many ground effects that there's no way you can properly navigate those. And like you said, especially as something like a Skarner or a Swain that wants to get... Well, Kog'Maw, you can at least have range. You can at least use your W and fire from a long way away. But these champions that want to get close and can only do so by walking through all this treacherous pathing, it's going to make for a very difficult time. But Clutch Gaming think that that's the recipe for success this time around. We'll have to see how well it works out for them, or if TSM is going to take us to match point after only 2 games.
All right, Clutch Gaming. This is the time to try and make their switch and flip this series around. Will they have what it takes, or will we get another 3-0 like we had yesterday?
Remember, Clutch was the team that managed to take down TSM in both regular play games of the split. However, that was before TSM flipped their own switch and really started coming together as a team and making those strides in the second half of the split.
Exactly. There's an asterisk next to those 2 wins for them, because they had beaten them right before the end of this first half, and then they immediately played them in week 6 right after they had crossed the halfway point. So it was pretty much back-to-back weekends where they played, and Clutch came out on top. But since then, TSM, like we said, they went 9-1. They're now 10-1, and they're on a 7-game winning streak.
And a large part of the discussion around the team as a whole around MikeYeoung. You know, you talked about one of the youngest players here in playoffs, and what we saw early on in the season from TSM looked like not on the same page at all, you know, having a lot of trouble there working in with the rest of the team. But game number 1 was an example of how to integrate Olaf extremely well and utilize the early pressure as a team to get a huge advantage in there. Trying to do it again.
Exactly. As you're talking about it, Kobe, speak of the devil, that forward percentage is insane. He's basically living in LirA's jungle and completely making him obsolete. But LirA's going to go to the other side. He's got to take the Spire so they know where he is.
That's the thing about the Skarner Spires. When you're counter jungling or when you're getting counter jungled, having those captured lets them know what's going on. As soon as they see that denied, Clutch Gaming knows Mike's in their jungle.
Yeah, it's not too big of a surprise here, as both of them, you know, picking it up, and having that knowledge isn't going to dissuade anyone from going over there. Now it's actually much more even ground here for LirA. You know, he's fine clearing out Raptors as well. Second, both of these champions, one of the big pulls for them in pro play is actually how effectively both of them, you know, can clear out the Raptors. So should be more of a trade this time around, and both teams aware of splitting the map. TSM have jungle priority on the bottom half of the map for the beginning of this game. Clutch Gaming on the top side.
And that kind of adaptation is what we talk about with wanting to see the changes the teams make between regular season play and between playoffs, is saying, hey, this went wrong in game number 1. It's got to be fixed now.
Exactly. They definitely fixed it there. Getting more than 1 quadrant of your jungle is definitely what LirA, that's the goal coming in here to game 2.
Mission accomplished.
For the early game. But look at MikeYeoung. He's going for an early game gank bottom, but actually no, he's going for Krugs. He's trying to trade that, but they spotted him.
Clutch is aware of what might be going on here. MikeYeoung just hanging out in the tri-brush, not starting up the camp yet, realizes that could be a little bit too far forward. Bjergsen will make the rotation down to see if maybe they can force something here.
And that's going to be a little bit expected. I think they saw Bjergsen roaming, and there's the hook.
Hakuho starts things off here, getting a flay onto 4 people, but he's still going to be surrounded, nearly taken down, keeps himself alive. but first blood over to Bjergsen.
TSM with such an early roam from Bjergsen down bottom side, and they're not done. Apollo's still here.
Oh, he didn't mark him. There's the heal.
They want to go for more. They don't get the concussive flows just yet. MikeYeoung flashing away to drop the turret aggro. Apollo goes down. Credit to MikeYeoung.
That is huge for the early game here for TSM, but LirA on the other side of the wall, I don't know if he's able to do anything here.
Thinking about maybe going over, looking for Mike. Mike down to 100 HP. LirA at least comes around and takes the Krug, but when TSM got 2 kills, that is hardly.
And even though TSM, pulled that off with 2 kills and without losing anyone, you could see how dicey it was and why Clutch Gaming, even though they saw them coming, were like, maybe we can outplay.
Watch this. Look at Febiven's summoner spells. He hit cleanse because he thought he had TP to help them. He thought he had TP in mid lane, and he hit cleanse with nobody around. He's running summoner spellbook on Swain, so he started cleanse to swap it later instead of phase rush where you start TP. So it looks like Febiven, like Bjergsen has said early, he might be in his head.
If that is the case, and if that's very good detective work there, Zirene. If he thought that he had teleport and he's telling his bottom lane, hey, don't worry, we'll outplay this dive. I got your back, bro.
and then you just see that little white ring pop up around your character, and you're like, wait, why is my guy not teleporting?
Oh, no.
That feels really, really bad, but it feels even worse for the guys who got killed from the play.
But we talk all the time about how you have to show up when it matters, and that's showing a kind of lack of presence of mind of what the game state is or what he's even done to prepare for the game. And you have to be able to perform in those situations. It's not even a high-pressure situation. It's early game, and the champs like forward, but it just looks like their TSM may have pushed them a little far, and now he's got the TP. He'll have the one that it looked like he was going for originally. And Febiven, so far, has not been performing against Bjergsen.
LirA invading towards MikeYeoung now. LirA's got the ability to take him down. Mike has no summoner spell, and he is caught out. LirA makes the play.
That is for game 1, he says.
Revenge. Hitting up in Mike's jungle.
That also means, again, remember, they have the presence on top side. Solo is pushing in, but LirA's exiting the area here, so Hauntzer should be able to CS under his turret. Those are the kinds of plays from LirA that people associate with, envy LirA and him playing Nidalee and going aggressive, Lee Sin, and those types of plays. But he makes the Skarner look good. Use a little blast cone, flash in there for the Assassin Scorpion, making Captain Flowers very proud.
Absolutely. That's how you got to play it, man. Get in there and flex on him.
And he's even going for the blue smite, which I see a lot of Skarners go for the red smite to try and duel the Olaf. But he's just going for a little bit more movement speed and kind of, I would assume later, to just dive the back line. But good combo from Febiven.
Yeah,
he's level 6.
Getting some nice damage on there. Part of those Swain buffs just make it so that combo is so deadly once he does land the Never Move, the Vision of Empire. Such a wide radius now, he can chain that very easily. But MikeYeoung is onto the Drake solo, and it should be pretty easy for him to take this one down. Mithy just comes over to say he helped, and Mike should secure this one rather effortlessly for TSM. Cloud Drake #1 going their way.
Yeah, I mean, in the mid lane in that little skirmish we just saw, we saw kind of the after effects because Bjergsen with his early roam, you do sacrifice some lane experience. We were talking to Jad a bit earlier discussing, Febiven and the playstyle and him being one of the mid laners that when the opponent roams, likes to just shove out the lane and gain that lane advantage and some tower damage instead. In that case, there was an extra added layer of the summoner, but we got to see the upsides of it.
He's got the pull.
They're looking for the play bottom. Sven's going to be chilling smited. LirA decides, okay, that's fine. We're just going to go for 50 instead, but the hook comes through. And now both TSM bottom laners going to be in some trouble. Sven still trying to walk away from this one, but Apollo's got the damage. One more auto attack should do it. Can he find it? It's Hakuho, who rips the soul right out of him.
He's on that playmaking Thresh, and he is making plays early with LirA.
I love the decision making there from Clutch Gaming in this bottom lane play. They go on Zven initially, but then they take the Braum, and they know that Braum's next move is say, hey, come here so I can jump to you. And Hakuho is aiming the hook, expecting this, kind of thinking one step ahead. They end up grabbing both.
And that is huge because that bottom lane is the one that got dove early. They reverse the pressure before a turret can go down, and now they allow themselves to equalize here. This is a great gank from LirA.
Okay, so they started off, he's level 6, they force a flash out of Zven, then they take option number 2, knowing that the next step would be to, jump to Zven. Great job there by Hakuho, grabbing him in as well, and then MikeYeoung arrives. Oh, they've already lost it, so abort mission. TSM, they cancel everything and just take the 2 deaths.
And that's a situation where LirA doesn't have flash from before.
Right.
And so a flashless Skarner going for a gank like that, and even having it succeed against two people who have flash is huge.
You can see right there on your screen, LirA as Skarner, 4 wins, 0 losses with a 4.8 KDA throughout Spring Split here in 2018. This has been a champion that he has performed incredibly well on.
He does a little bit, kind of a different thing than most people do. Like invading an Olaf on Skarner is something that is pretty unheard of. You usually just go farm your own jungle and try to outpace them, but he's very aggressive on this champion and even takes plays like that where you go, okay, it shouldn't work, they have flashes and I don't. He was able to go for the risk.
And I really do love it when I see people invading Olaf at the proper time. Because as strong as he is in 1v1s, you know that, especially in that situation, you know, he has no flash, he has no ultimate. Olaf does get low in the jungle because he will get bonus attack speed from the passive, but in getting low, you have the opportunity for people to, you know, come kill you, which is not often the case because they are so beaten up from the early stages.
And you even saw MikeYeoung there. He's killing the Krugs. He actually leaves a few Krugs there because he's like, I just died doing that last time. That gold is not worth it.
They're not worth it.
Exactly.
Not falling into the same trap twice. Not in the same game. MikeYeoung still 1-1-1 on the Olaf. He's got the Cinderhulk completed with the Skirmisher Saber, so he's got a lot of dueling potential. But like you guys already mentioned, it's LirA who's got the extra chase down power with the Chilling Smite. He'll be looking to continue to set up those plays for the team.
Now they're headed bottom side, though. Both of them have Predator ready. MikeYeoung has the control ward and the mid laner.
And MikeYeoung is just ready to start off on this one, but he pops the Ragnarok for pretty much no effect. And that means that it now might be up to Clutch Gaming to look to make a play. They can't really get an opportunity just yet. Hauntzer decides to blow the horn and go after Solo here, who's going to be stuck in mini-Gnar form for a while. Hauntzer gets some decent damage down there. Going to continue the chase after him. Bjergsen coming around to cut him off at the pass.
Oh, he's got
Solo seeing that, trying to get himself away. The flash comes out. Bjergsen looking to finish this one off, and he'll get it. Bjergsen grabbing himself another kill.
Hauntzer kind of the herder right there, just corrals Solo, feeds him right into the jungle, pushes him towards Bjergsen, and they end up flashing for it, but secure the kill here with the CC combo. Solo didn't even get to use his flash. Didn't kind of expect Bjergsen coming around to cut him off, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of strange because he didn't want to use flash there. He could flash over the wall, but I feel like he doesn't want to waste a flash for no flash in return.
Well, you would have wanted to flash earlier at the Rift Herald wall,
Exactly.
which he was right next to get out, but thought he could get out of there, saving the summoner spell. I know that feel. You never want to utilize those
never wanna
before
waste it.
you really see the whites of their eyes.
But I actually think it's better that he doesn't use it there. Like, people get criticism for not blowing summoners, but he's going to blow flash and get nothing in return at that point earlier. It's like Hauntzer's not going to flash after him. This case, he dies. Bjergsen blows both of his summoners. There's an opportunity for Clutch to exploit Bjergsen's low summoners, and it means that Solo has his flash so he can continue lane pressuring. I actually think it's okay that he did that.
On the lines of Bjergsen's resources, though, I think it's very important to point out this early into the game, only 11 minutes here before any big-ticket items are completed. Bjergsen paying a lot of respect towards LirA and that playmaking potential on the Skarner, rushing the QSS to make sure he's not the victim of that pull.
2-kill Ryze here, definitely a formidable opponent, and he does have Realm Warp available, so both side lanes do have to worry. Whenever they see, you know, Bjergsen just drop off to one side, they're going to have to definitely respect the possibility of him coming in, and that makes a lot of this vision around mid lane very important.
A lot of vision around this Drake pit's going to be very important as well. You can see 30 seconds away from second Drake. It is Infernal. That's the one everybody wants. That's the one that's going to contribute so much to either one of these teams if they can get it. So priority over that area is going to be paramount, at least until that next Drake falls.
And I always like to look at gold right before. It's coming up right now. Febiven has 1,700 gold, so he's backing. He does have TP, and Bjergsen's sitting on 1,500. Yeah. Bjergsen has 1,500, and he won't be able to spend that before that Drake spawns and potentially show up to that fight. So you see the Abyssal Mask now completed for Febiven, and he's going to be able to show up there. Uses the TP to get back to mid.
Abyssal Mask for Febiven, and he has the hourglass, or the stopwatch, excuse me, ready to go, which can be absolutely team fight winning if the Swain can get that ulti off in a great spot, pop the stopwatch, and ignore some damage.
And because of that, I actually think that Clutch Gaming should have priority here because they get to shove out mid. But Bjergsen, he's going to back. His Ignite is coming off cooldown. He can swap that for TP and show up himself. Oh, actually cancels it. So if they start it now and go for a fight, Clutch is actually favored.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming can start off with the blue steel first to set them up for this. MikeYeoung is in the area, and TSM look like they don't want to give up the Infernal, though.
Ooh. Likely wanting to give the blue buff over there, but Febiven misses it by about 5 HP, so they just give it over to LirA instead.
Every second matters here, because now Bjergsen got to back. I don't even know if he has to swap out his summoners.
He's waiting to see if he needs to.
Yeah, he's going to do it anyway. And now TSM are actually in a better position because Clutch went for the blue and they wasted a lot of time.
Solo does have Mega Gnar pretty close to popping, though, so Clutch Gaming could go for it.
Yep, there's
that
the
Infernal
TPs.
Drake sends some trouble. Here comes the fight. TSM has priority over the pit, and they've already got the kill onto Hakuho. Is anything else going to be even happening to that when it's Solo? Can't find the backup for his Mega Gnar ultimate. Now in the front line, it's going to be Hauntzer having to run away. Febiven wants to go in, and he finds the never move. The follow-up is there, and LirA is able to grab the kill onto mithy. Zven's Kog'Maw food, and Apollo makes it 2 for Clutch Gaming.
And they're going to be able to get the Infernal Drake afterwards. TSM can only push minions in the mid lane.
That was a huge turnaround. Solo's ultimate to delay the damage, even though Clutch weren't in a position to just absolutely wombo combo them off of that, it put TSM in an awful spot, and they were able to chase them down and get that Drake. But Bjergsen looking for a little bit of a trade.
Febiven, no ulti, no summoner spells, so he's not really looking for anything to do with this fight. But Clutch Gaming have got to be ecstatic with the way that played out, because it looked like it was starting pretty wrong.
Yeah, and that is also going to push Apollo ahead in the Rage Blade race. Very important between these two AD carries. You know, he does have 2 kills to his name here on the Kog'Maw, and he is able to complete it in addition to some Merc treads, because there's so many of those CC abilities that we talked about in Champ Select that he's going to have to navigate. Here's another look at how this dragon fight all started out.
And you can see the hook lands onto mithy as he flashes in, and then LirA goes after Hauntzer here. He actually suppresses him so he can't hit the second part of the Ornn ultimate and affect that backline as Solo got that massive 4-man ulti.
Yeah, it was kind of an exchange of tanks there, as both of the frontliners teleported into the opposite side and then tried to make their escape. But because everything from MikeYeoung was blown early on their Thresh kill, it was a very low health Olaf with no ultimate available. So he, even though he didn't die, he was kind of out of the little skirmish there.
Pretty useless, yeah.
Yeah, and so Apollo, he flashes just to follow Zven to get the extra kill on the AD carry.
And I just want to talk about Clutch Gaming as a whole right now, because this is one of those teams, I mean, if you look at the names on TSM, these are names that you see as, like what we were talking about earlier, these guys who expect to get to the finals all the time. When you look at Clutch Gaming, yeah, you've got some experience in those types of positions with someone like Febiven, but you've got 3/5 of the Envy roster from last split. You've also got Solo, who's experiencing his rookie split here. You've got these guys who you don't know how they're going to perform in playoffs and in these best of 5s, and they are making a fantastic adaptation in game number 2.
But you even go back to the early days of Envy, where they were very low in the standings, 10th place, looked fantastic in their game still, just didn't have it all together, and then they made playoffs, and it was still, hey, upgrade solo laners. Now they have Febiven, who has championships of his own.
Apollo said himself in the video pre-match that he's seen the banners hanging up here in the North American LCS and always thought, those are not for me. But with this team, he thinks they can do it.
Feels like they're playing a whole different game now, and they're definitely giving TSM a run for their money here in this game. They're up a couple hundred gold, but Solo's found himself in the middle of a 1 versus 3, and there is no way out except back through the spawn platform. Bjergsen goes on a killing spree, and now it's going to be a race for some turrets.
Oh, those bottom lane minions, those are not for you, Solo.
Not today.
The life of a top laner. Don't have flash like that, you're just going to get knocked down, but you're going to see here, trying to actually push 2 lanes at once. They'll try to trade turrets.
They knew they weren't going to win the first turret race because of the fact that TSM already had that bottom lane tier 1 so low. They try to push the 2 lanes, like you said, to make it so they come out on top through that respect, but they can't quite finish off mid lane.
But this looks like a classic TSM from the old days here. Bjergsen 3-0-1. He's been performing magnificently throughout the last 10 games, and they just gave him solo turret gold on the bottom side. They are trying to buff up Bjergsen in this matchup and set him up to carry.
And it works well with their team here. He can split push on the Ryze, create some side lane pressure. And then they also have the tools with the Ornn, with the Olaf and Braum that we talked about to try and actually create that space. Let's take a look at the wards as well, as TSM have kind of set them up down on that bottom side, allowing for a lot of that play.
Febiven will continue pushing up mid lane for now. We talked about before that Drake fight how he had the Abyssal Mask and the stopwatch for himself. Things haven't changed too much, and really the big turning point for that Swain is going to be 2 items, because that's when the Zhonya's Hourglass comes online, and that's one of those big power spikes that everybody sees as so iconic for the champion.
But even if when he hits that point, he's 1,500 gold behind Bjergsen, who will potentially go for split push plays, and the question is, despite the items, can he actually match the Ryze with the Realm Warp plus the teleport?
And if they can't match the Ryze, and they have a team that relies on like a flash Skarner initiation or a flash Gnar initiation or a God Hook from Hakuho, those are difficult to pull off into a 4-man squad that has Ornn ultimate for defense, Braum ultimate for defense, and does have some ways of evading some of the hard engage. Right now, though, MikeYeoung's actually trailing through the jungle with their split pusher Bjergsen here, and they might even go for the side lane play instead.
Yeah,
Solo does have flash.
Trying to pick on Solo because they don't give him much attention, and there it is.
Here we go. Flash from both Bjergsen and Solo going to be answered by one another. Ulti from MikeYeoung, but that means Clutch Gaming has the opportunity to push here in the mid lane. Varus ultimate going to be used trying to keep this alive for as long as they can, but it won't hold long.
Yeah, the opportunity cost of going for a 2-man play on bottom side, it allows Clutch Gaming to get that objective and get some global gold for themselves here.
And also, that's the mid lane turret, so now you get to push up, and there's both neutrals coming out.
Oh!
That was the flash out of MikeYeoung because he didn't have ultimate.
Knew that was going to be a true death sentence if it landed, so he had to pop the summoner, get himself away, especially with Baron and Infernal Drake both spawning in under 30 seconds.
And you can see mid priority is the name of the game. With that turret down, Clutch get to push towards that tier 2 with their minion wave, and now they get to pivot to whichever side they want. And it looks like, despite the Baron coming up a little sooner, it's a harder objective to take, you know. Infernal's pretty easy.
Just a little bit.
2 Infernals would be really nice for them.
2 Infernals could definitely be a win condition if this game goes later on. Clutch Gaming staying very, very even right now. You can actually see the gold not even 100 apart.
And I think that they should be able to take this Infernal as well to double stack them for themselves. Oh, actually, they get a hook instead.
Hakuho finds that onto Mithy. They get a little bit of damage down there, but nothing that's going to break a fight just yet.
With Ingenious Hunter here for LirA, his cooldown on Righteous Glory is already back up, as well as the Predator boot. So they also have the opportunity to try and speed boost in there with Skarner.
Skarner's got everything available. Febiven also still having that stopwatch, has the ultimate ready, the flash as well. Apollo with that Rage Blade completed, but the same thing can be said for Zven. Both these AD carries being those 1-item power spike champions that get to rush Rage Blade means they'll be on pretty equal footing going for this. But now, once again,
they're burning it down.
Starting up the Infernal Drake, but they are doing it way too fast. Clutch Gaming wants to get in there, but they can't do a thing. And the Realm Warp gets them out clean from TSM.
Bjergsen with the magic tricks. Now you see the Infernal Drake. Now you don't.
Poof. It's gone, and it's right under TSM's scoreboard there. That ties that count up and keeps the game truly even when you account for the gold and the stat value.
Even though Clutch had it warded, there's this control ward on the side next to where the pixel brush is. TSM put like 4 people in there, waited for Clutch to go answer mid, and then they just rushed it down. It was a quick kind of switcheroo.
Well, that switcheroo ends up getting them an incredibly valuable neutral objective.
In a spot that I don't think they really had, you know, much right to get. They actually played it very well, because having that mid turret down means that you shouldn't be able to contest it when the enemy's is still up. But they're able to do it, and they come out on top with it because of a clever macro move.
Speaking of clever moves, I want to point out right now that LirA has paid the Skarner tax as the Skarner. He picks up a QSS to make sure that when he's going in there with the Righteous Glory or with the Predator or whatever he wants to do, he's not going to get stopped by a Rune Prison or by a stun or by a Varus ulti. He needs those big pulls.
Brought to you by the man who would swap his cleanse, his smite for cleanse. LirA definitely really likes being able to get out of CC effects in these fights later.
Yeah, I mean, we did see this yesterday as well. If your opponents can use it, means it's fair game for you.
Yep, all's fair in League of Legends.
Oh, another cool thing, like you touched on, Kobe, was the Ingenious Hunter for LirA. He's actually holding on to his warding trinket, and you see he's got 69 in terms of his vision score right now, and that's because Ingenious Hunter reduces the cooldown of your trinket as well. So he's been warding up the wazoo instead of denying vision and allowing Hakuho to kind of see where he's going to throw these hooks.
71, a very impressive amount of vision score when you compare that to the fact that support's only sitting around the 40s right now. So a lot of work being done in terms of those extracurricular activities for LirA. Not just making the big plays in the fights, but making sure that they're ready to set up around it as well.
And he has been one of the big difference makers in this game compared to game number 1. TSM focused him so heavily in game number 1 with a very successful early game plan. But they have been able to recover on the side of Clutch Gaming this time around to make it a much more interesting series. Very well set up here with red buff on Apollo level 11 as well. Ooh. Teleport even coming in, actually.
That's from Febiven to kind of return to the lane and shoot out because they had lost track of Hauntzer. He had dipped into Fog of War.
Yeah, maybe they're worried about the hard engage. We talked about the speed with which Ornn-Olaf combination can come at you. Also, sometimes, you know, the control wards that they have standing around Baron right now, trying to get over there to help retain their vision control around this area. But yeah, definitely using the teleport this time.
Oh. Another nice hook from Hakuho over the wall. Mithy going to be eating that one as now the Ornn ultimate comes through, finds its way down onto Apollo, who's going to be forced back a little bit here. TSM trying to strike back at what looked like an engage from Clutch, but they're still hanging out pretty comfortably. Solo looking to go in, trying to find the opportunity, has the flash, doesn't go for the Mega Gnar, and TSM breaks it off.
Yeah, TSM blew the Ornn ultimate and the Varus ultimate. They're two giant crowd control team fighting abilities there, so Clutch Gaming were looking for a little bit of counter to punish this small timing window on the back of it.
Looked like you might have been able to see the potential for a flash into Mega Gnar ulti there,
yeah.
But the issue with that, I think, is then Solo's the only one up there, and you can't quite get everybody else to follow in time.
And everybody else has flash on TSM, so if the damage isn't there immediately, they're just going to flash away, which could be good for the resulting Baron fight later, but it probably means you could lose Solo, and they could just counter, and then you lose
There's too
Baron,
many question
so,
marks on it,
yeah,
right? There's too many thinking emojis.
Exactly. You don't want to have actual question mark on you.
No MIA ping.
Yeah.
We're not looking to break the ping spam filter here today, boys, but Clutch Gaming are looking to break down some of these TSM wards in the Baron pit, but that one, very sneaky, hanging out in the very back there. As Clutch Gaming will continue hanging out around this river brush. LirA far forward into the enemy jungle to capture the Spire. If Clutch Gaming can ever force a fight around one of these, that could be pretty helpful for him, but the Ornn ulti comes through, ends up hitting a field goal instead, not finding anybody important or anybody at all. MikeYeoung going to be soaking some damage on the front line now as Solo goes into the Mega Gnar, goes for the single man slam onto Hauntzer, and they've got him.
That was even without Febiven near the rest of Clutch Gaming. Very well played by Clutch Gaming there to evade the initiation and kill Hauntzer afterwards. It's going to mean they start up Baron. There's an answer here, though, available. MikeYeoung with flash.
But LirA also able to go in, and he pulls in Zven. Mithy having to walk away now. Solo goes down. Zven grabbing the kill onto him. TSM will stop the Baron attempt for now, never move, not finding its way onto Mithy. Clutch Gaming will be forced to walk out.
Yeah, because it's so early in the game here, the death timers on the top laner that they killed, not long enough, because Hauntzer has teleport. So if Clutch Gaming went back to Baron again after that kill, then they'd also have to worry about Ornn teleporting in. So they're just going to take their kills and walk away with the extra little bit of gold. Here's another look at the initial evasion.
And what happened was, he kind of splits him down the middle, predicting a move up from Apollo, but then when Hauntzer goes forward, they stun him, throw him into the wall, stun him again, and he just actually cannot move because Febiven gets in range to pull, and that's another displacement and a stun.
That thing is so jarring.
Yeah.
Confident play there from the duo of Clutch Gaming. Then here they've got the Skarner plus Thresh.
The extendo sting, just pull him right back in.
Good stuff from Clutch Gaming, showing that they're still able to find these opportunities time and time again to turn the plays around if TSM missteps. But TSM now saying they can find those opportunities of their own. They want to capture the Skarner Spire, take back control of the Baron pit, force Clutch Gaming to now answer that. Drake is live for the 4th time this game. It is Ocean number 1. We'll see if the teams choose to prioritize that. It's honestly not very high value right now, but remember, we're getting really, really close to the point of the game where the next one killed will spawn an Elder instead. 29 minutes is that cutoff point. If this Drake isn't killed before then, Elder will come up next.
Well, it looks like the mini-map, Solo is down around there. Maybe he's just messing around with the Scuttle Crab as he walks away from it. But yeah, you're right. Like, the pull right now between later game Ocean Drake or top side Baron vision control is so big. Hakuho is the target.
Ornn ulti comes out, forces the flash away from Hakuho.
And that's a minute cooldown on that Ornn ultimate, so he just keeps throwing that out every single time it's up.
LirA
LirA wants to go in for somebody. Man, he's fast, but not fast enough. Can't quite close that distance.
Gotta get that Spire. Go a little faster.
If only, man. If only. Skarner's all about going fast.
Well, he definitely can do that at this stage of the game, but the QSSs are coming through. You look at the entire backline here for TSM. Bjergsen already had one really early on in the game, but Zven now with one as well. Mithy with one himself. So the options are starting to dwindle. That's why he was running straight at Hauntzer, right? If you get
That's the only guy you can pull.
Give me him.
Don't pull the tank, but it's the only person he can really pull in these fights. But they actually think they're safe here. Clutch, they swept the pit. They didn't see that ward. Now they put down the control, and they try to do it.
Hauntzer has teleport, but he's not starting the channel yet.
MikeYeoung has flash that he could try to go for this. Baron going to be taken down to half HP. Solo whips the Mega Gnar! He's going to be bursted down in the front lines as Mithy keeps himself alive. Febiven will stay on the front lines trying to tank this one, but disaster for Clutch Gaming signals a retreat. MikeYeoung wants to chase after them, but he can't quite do it just yet. LirA looking to maybe come back in, make some kind of a play here, but Clutch strike out on that one.
Ooh, a big fumble there from Solo, and it looked like they were just trying to make something happen off of the engaging TSM because they were about to get flanked by Hauntzer, but it didn't land.
My goodness. They're not going to get too much else off of it, though, because, again, it's a top laner with only 20 seconds left. He has his teleport available now, and Clutch Gaming just burned Hauntzer's. Let's take another look at how it happened, though. All right, 5,000 health on the Baron. He goes Mega after he whiffs it, as you said. Put him in the room prison. Everyone focused him down, and then they also kited on the outside of the Febiven here, forcing his flash in the 5v4.
Yeah, we've all been there.
I love Solo's, they're so subtle. The roll of the eyes from before and then that one, just, that's all you can really do.
That is about all you got at that point. TSM will finally go after that Drake. And by the way, it is post 29 minutes, so we will get to see the Elder Drake coming online just 6 minutes from now. And that will be yet another big uber buff for these teams to fight over that could very well determine the tipping point of this game that has almost reached 1,000 gold difference, but it's bottom lane where Hauntzer's looking to make the play onto Solo now. He's got Bjergsen hanging around nearby, could come in with the Realm Warp. Solo goes into Mega Gnar, still walking himself away, gets underneath the turret.
Solo has just been picked on pretty much all game.
I feel like all season.
Yeah, the expression shows it all.
A lot of coins there mid lane. Things all just came out of nowhere at once, but Hakuho will pick up a couple, keep himself walking back towards that Baron pit again. It's all about the vision. Like you said, Kobe, yeah, you've got a mid-game, late-game Ocean Drake that doesn't really mean a whole lot, but these wards could just determine who gets Baron, who gets caught off guard.
Well,
it's so important to keep them up.
And then if they are continually having these little skirmishes around Baron and around the vision, then the Ocean Drake then maybe will come into play as far as regenerating up after a blunder. Maybe you miss an engagement, someone gets chunked down. Because it does look like it is going to settle into a fairly standard play here. Control wards are being cleared out once again. Solo still trying to make some headway here down on the bottom turret.
And we have to think about this Kog'Maw here for Apollo. He's got cleanse, and as they hit that late game, rooting him up and having ways to get away is going to be huge because he's also just going to output a lot of damage. A lot of the gold is on him from Clutch.
Okay, going for Solo once again. Bjergsen gonna find him.
Really doesn't like this little Gnar trying to make those moves.
He does.
Wait.
So he didn't have vision until they saw Olaf look at this ward up on the red buff. So he was worried that there were more members of TSM coming. That's why he started channeling.
All right.
Then he decided there aren't, so he wanted to lower cooldown on the teleport.
It makes sense now. It makes sense now.
I got you. I'm working through the brain.
I was like, no, we don't get 2 teleport misclicks in the same game. That's that. I refuse to accept that.
Bunch of detectives up here.
Gotta follow the
super sleuths. Everybody's figuring it all out.
That's our new crime drama that we're gonna have out soon.
In LCS Super Sleuth, starring Kobe and Zirene.
Sleuth doesn't sound.
I'll be the sidekick that just doesn't actually solve the mysteries, but I'm there for comic relief.
You just bang through the wall every once in a while. Start shouting at everybody.
He gets to be Watson on the side,
Yeah. I can handle that. We can make that work.
Meanwhile, they've actually made a side lane change here on Clutch Gaming. Solo's had enough of everyone expending ultimates and flashes and teleports on him, so they put Febiven down there. He has his teleport ready, so they're exchanging out the canceled teleport for the availability to join this Baron fight, and they're going to have him try and keep those minions under control. But again, it retains such an intense amount of pressure here around this fog of war because Hauntzer continually throwing out the Ornn ultimates, fishing for picks.
Trying to find those picks could be the difference in who gets to start this team fight off their way. And one thing I want to point out too, what will be a difference very, very soon, the QSS on Bjergsen, he's approaching full items, and at that point, you're stuck with this sort of dead item that isn't dead because you need the active effect. It's incredibly important, but at the same time, not having that 6th item that's some sort of real AP itemization is going to feel really bad for your damage output compared to what it could be.
Yeah, the only thing I think that you could really do with that is swap it out for potentially Zhonya's later and say you'll Hourglass if you think you're going to get pulled, but that's kind of it. I think he would keep the QSS, but you see Clutch Gaming starting up the Baron.
Once again, daring TSM to answer. Solo's going to be tanking it for now. Bjergsen coming in with the TP. Clutch decide to leave. They'll pick up the Scuttle Crab instead.
Bjergsen cancels it, so he would have to walk over with Realm Warp, so Clutch Gaming could go right back onto the Baron and start it up. TSM still pushing.
This is it. Do or die for Clutch. They decide. I don't know if they're going to do. LirA still wants to go in, still looking to make the pulls. He goes in, he goes after Hauntzer, the one man without the QSS, but he gets away. Mithy can't do the same. Febiven finally popping the stopwatch as the Ornn ulti comes right back after them. MikeYeoung gonna be looking to go unstoppable, but Hauntzer's out of the picture. Febiven takes him down. TSM 3 versus 5 will yield the Baron.
Again, the ideal target for LirA to get with Skarner is Hauntzer, the tank, because their AD carry Apollo has all of this % health shred. He'll melt him just like it would melt anyone else, and that is the non-QSS target.
Exactly, and Hauntzer, he doesn't have adaptive helm yet for the Kog'Maw. He's purchased the Abyssal Mask, so he isn't actually incredibly tanky against him just yet.
And things are going to get even more difficult now that that Baron is up and running on the members of Clutch Gaming. Let's take another look at how they did it here.
So Hauntzer actually gets pulled in, but mithy jumps to him, and the Swain root, watch Febiven here, he'll throw it out after, throws it here, and it actually gets mithy on the back, jerks him in after, and then they change their focus after the Swain E and passive were used.
Yeah, Hauntzer trying to get out there with the flash. And then in the end, Febiven flashes forward once again, snags him with another one of those nifty roots.
Yeah, it's very jarring. And also, Hakuho, he pretty much full purchased, I believe, the Banner of Command there as they went back.
Speaking of full purchases, Runaan's Hurricane for Apollo means this Kog'Maw's teamfight damage is going to be even more ridiculous than previously stated as Clutch Gaming decides to push up the mid lane. Baron buff ready to go. That Banner minion doing what Banner minions do, pushing towards the TSM inhibitor turret line. And Clutch is 4-man strong, pushing this one. They should have Solo hanging around, LirA there as well. 5 men now as mithy gets pulled in, and that's the kind of hook you need. LirA takes some damage, but Clutch Gaming still able to find the kill and the inhibitor turret and the whip from Hauntzer. Now it's TSM who are struggling. The QSS onto that tank. There are no more good ult targets. It feels bad for Skarner, but it feels damn good for Clutch right now.
Oh my goodness, Hakuho just little icing on top of the cake right there. Lands the death sentence. They secure another kill. Mid inhibitor's been taken, and Clutch Gaming are right back into this one. Let's take a look.
Wait.
Are they going to finish this Elder Dragon or go for a fight?
Clutch likes to fight a little bit more than like to do Elders. Ooh.
That hook over the wall almost finding its way onto Hauntzer. Clutch Gaming not getting a lot out of that one, but expending the ghost of Febiven there in case the fight did break out in earnest. They peel right back towards the Elder.
Yeah, you can see mithy TPs to get over there. They're going to try to contest this. TSM are ready to fight.
TSM not willing to just let this game continue to slip away like this. Solo in the pit. He's got the Gnar bar ready to go.
He's got flash as
TSM,
well.
5 men strong. Still looking to contest this one. The hook comes out. Bjergsen's going to be kept safe for now. Solo's still going to be on the front lines. mithy dead. TSM mounting their counterattack, but Solo's still the only one anywhere near gone. Febiven tanking things up, still got the ultimate ready. TSM wants to wait until this dissipates. They want to allow that to break. Hakuho's not able to find the death sentence. Solo wants to get back, heal up, TP and return to the fight. Clutch Gaming allowing the Elder to reset. They want to go after the fight onto TSM instead. Nice to see us. Solo's coming around from behind, and Hauntzer's caught out. QSS cooldown's a little bit too long, and Febi goes on a rampage.
as MikeYeoung will try to get away with the help of Bjergsen. They'll do so, but Clutch Gaming with yet another victory.
They are demolishing TSM right now. They get some more kills. They have a minion wave on bottom they can push with and get another turret before then finally retreating to that Elder Dragon.
And this is a massive wave, and they have the banner back off cooldown here, and 15 seconds on that Baron buff. They'll be able to push this turret and maybe another with Hauntzer dead for 30.
Tier 2 out of the way, Tier 3, their sights are set. No tank, no big front line there for TSM. Hakuho, it's like it's a point and click. 1 for 1, MikeYeoung's gone now, and there truly is no front line for TSM. Clutch Gaming still with the rest of the team going, able to take down the inhibitor itself, looking to make even more plays. Bjergsen incredibly low, still kept alive, getting himself away, Rune Prison down onto LirA, but he backs out, the inhibitors are gone, 2 of them now. And Clutch Gaming makes this look better and better.
Oh my goodness. All right, now Hauntzer is up. MikeYeoung now down, and Clutch Gaming have the smite advantage to try and transition this. That was almost a 5,000 Baron power play right there. We'll have to check in on the Elder Dragon, though, because TSM don't want to give away this objective.
And we're seeing kind of this structure advantage for Clutch, the fight advantage for them that's happened multiple times, but it's only actually a 4,000 gold lead for them. If TSM are able to somehow get this Elder, it could be a very close game, but right now, Clutch, we're seeing LirA on point with 100% kill participation, and Hakuho, like you said, Flowers, he is making this Thresh look dirty.
2 inhibitors down as well. So TSM have to deal with so much minion pressure. It should make it easy for Clutch Gaming to set up for the Elder Dragon. And that means you have to, again, walk into some jungle corridors. You have to worry about the QSSs, who has them active, and who's going to get hit.
And Clutch Gaming, their style has been, they don't like to take those big objectives unless it's a for sure thing. They are more, way more on the side of fight after you bait them in towards the objective. And since they have tools like the hook and the Skarner pull, they're definitely going to go for a lot of baits here.
Well, they've still got themselves 3,500 gold up. We're starting to hit massive itemization power points for pretty much everyone on the board right now. You can see 5 items online for almost everyone on the side of Clutch Gaming. Nearly at full build there for Febiven, having the needlessly large rod in the inventory, still needing to upgrade that. But it's going to be yet another fight near the Elder Drake. Clutch Gaming has the Spire.
And like you're talking about, Zirene, Clutch Gaming have been patient. So they have the minions pushing with them. They just want to delay TSM right now, let their minions get closer to finishing the job. But there they go.
Here we go, onto the front lines they are. LirA going to be taken down, already out of the picture, but now TSM's found their team fight. On the front line, Solo's going to drop just Nexus. Febiven looks to at least get something in return. Zven is down, a big pick there onto the enemy AD carry. Clutch Gaming, 3 versus 4, but they've still got both their big damage dealers. TSM's on the retreat. Febiven looking for the never move, not able to find it onto Bjergsen. But the death sentence! Hakuho is a freaking monster this game!
Yep, they're teleporting in to the Nexus turrets with the super minions.
Febiven will look to take down the Nexus turret as Hakuho goes fishing yet again and just lands hook after hook after hook. And Febiven will seal the deal onto Nexus turret number 1, the second, soon to suffer the same fate. Very long death timers on multiple members of TSM. The Nexus is low, the team is down, and Clutch Gaming will tie this sucker up.
A rough start to the game for Clutch, but they got it back together off of LirA's early game pressure bottom lane, and then they just took over from there. You saw TSM felt like they really couldn't do much around the map as Clutch started running them around the objectives.
Definitely some highlight plays from both LirA early on and then Hakuho later in this game. Really well played by Clutch to even this one up. We've got a series on our hands.
I don't think I have ever seen a more impressive streak of death sentences in the same game over and over again. Hakuho just making pick after pick happen.
And that is a huge thing to say because we have seen some damn good Thresh players in the NALCS pull it out when the time is right. But like you said, Hakuho with the streak there, he was definitely on fire, pulling him in constantly.
Clutch plays, Clutch Gaming, and to hear more about how they tied up the series, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Clutch Gaming with the equalizer to bring us to 1-1 here against TSM. Flip-flop sides here. I want to take a look at Champion Select to see what these teams decided to come out with in Game 2. Most notably, Skarner falling in the hands of LirA, given over by TSM, and Thresh right along with that. A couple playmakers for Clutch Gaming.
Gotta look at the bans on TSM. They go for more targeted bans. Azir, Morgana, and Rakan are really not the expected bans on red side, and as a result, LirA gets what's been his best champion, what feels like all split long, on that Skarner pick, and it ends up having a pretty big influence on the game.
Yeah, and I also think that Swain is still just ridiculous on this patch. It's first pick a bull, and you should probably first pick it if you have the opportunity. So having that super strong mid laner for Febiven, and then also having the Skarner did give them a level of comfort that worked pretty well.
Sounds like your mic might not be working, so we're going to hand you that as we dive through it. So don't know if you heard anything of what Jat said.
It wasn't important.
It wasn't that important.
Skarner were good.
Nothing Jat says ever matters.
Yeah, Swain and Skarner are very good. But we saw a lot of early action from TSM, again, being the more proactive team of the two. An early roam to the bot lane and a turret dive, alongside some perhaps miscommunication from Clutch Gaming and how to respond to that. Let's take a look.
Oh, they're diving us?
I'm TPing. Alright. Nah, I don't even have TP. I'm trolling. I'm sorry. Okay.
What's really impressive about that is the fact that they win this game.
Right.
Like, have a double kill as a wave crashes on your bot lane. You don't get anything back. You blow cleanses randomly. I think Apollo thought he had healed.
He also cleansed. Yeah, exactly.
To have the mental fortitude to come back in a playoff game like that's pretty impressive to me after it starts so bad.
Very much so. Again, that was on the outset of the game. Then we go into a flurry of mid-game skirmishes and smart plays here out of Clutch Gaming to grab back a couple kills and equalize that gold advantage.
Yeah, and even just the objective forces ended up working pretty well for them. I like the ult that LirA had here to stop the end of the Ornn ult coming through as well, with Solo stalling them out for long enough for Febiven to actually get around the backside of this fight.
Yeah, Solo had a monster
nice
ult there on the top of your screen as he came in with the teleport. A couple kills picked up here, then the Infernal Dragon gives Clutch Gaming a nice little edge moving into that mid to late game.
And even with that Morgana pick taken out, obviously Hakuho is a beast, and the Thresh is a monster in this team fight as well. Mithy tries to go in to protect his tank, but gets hooked out, pulled in as well with that Swain passive. So another team fight here won by Clutch Gaming with that Kog'Maw, able to melt down the front line faster.
Yeah, and I do want to highlight just the way that Clutch played around their team composition. You don't have a huge amount of initiation with Gnar and Swain, and Thresh can get you some hooks, but you're mainly just using the objectives as a way to make TSM come close to you, because once Swain pops that ultimate, and once you have Kog'Maw sitting in the back, TSM has no way to get to the Kog'Maw because they can't run through the Swain.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're repetitive, even though at first it wasn't actually that clean going for Baron, but how they kept going back to that was the right strategy.
Well, and especially with an ADC like Kog'Maw in your back pocket, makes it such an easy choice to go ahead and grab that Ornn with the Skarner ult and just say, hey, we'll kill your tank. We don't need to dive beyond you. We'll pull him in, we'll keep your carries at bay with our Swain, and just melt your tanks.
Yeah, especially if the Swain walks forward during that time. It's very hard for a low-range Varus and Ryze to step up and then try and help out and deal damage on some of the other priority targets. It was just a very well-crafted team comp that eventually took control of this game and forced this kind of final
close here on the final fight.
Yeah, and there was a couple times where maybe Clutch could have ended it earlier, and you still see the strength in the backline, though, even though this time TSM's able to get through the front line first. Apollo comes up, or excuse me, Hakuho comes up big, setting up Apollo for that kill.
Yeah, and also, even though they did kill the front line of Clutch Gaming, they still wouldn't be able to run through Swain. Like when MikeYeoung tried for a second to run through that fight, he nearly died, and then Bjergsen didn't think he'd have the move speed to get away, tried to ult out, gets hit by yet another Hakuho hook, and that closed it.
Hey, you see how back and forth that game was up until that final kind of, or one of the final Baron attempts actually went in their favor.
Neither team having more than a 1,500 gold lead until that 35-minute mark where Clutch finally wrestles control away from TSM, and here we find ourselves 1-1 in the series that we expected to be more lopsided than yesterday's.
Yes, it is very surprising. I think Chad and I are both hats off to Clutch Gaming for being able to actually put together this winning strategy. I think there's a lot of things to look at from this game in pick ban to say how TSM can adjust and how Clutch can also try and make sure that they have these things working for them.
Right, 27 kills in that game means we're definitely going to outpace that over-under on the kills that we had set out at the beginning of it. It's true, you're right. We could have the 0-kill victory here in Game 3. It is still possible. Bjergsen on that death toll under 15 minutes, still at 0, so he's holding strong there.
I'm going to go straight to the mark.
We didn't pull, I don't think we pulled forward percentage for that one. I apologize. We'll get it. It's all in aggregate anyway. It's the average across all games. The series is tied at 1-1. Let's see how TSM bite back here in Game 3. We'll see you there after the break.